Hi, Jeff Lawton here, and I'm back with another video. Today I'm going to answer some of the most common questions regarding the ethics of permaculture. Ecological principles rest on the understanding of life where cycles, flows, systems and functions work ceaselessly through sound natural laws. Adherence to a set of foundational ethics helps guide behaviour and builds cooperation and trust within communities. The following set of ethics calls for nature-centred practices that allow for regeneration of land and those who live on it. The three permaculture ethics are earth care, which includes all living and non-living things, land, water, animals and air. People care, to promote self-reliance and make things better for people, community responsibility. And then the third ethic, return of surplus. This happens as a result of adherence to the above ethics, the first two ethics, which together, caring for the earth, caring for people, and allowing the surplus to support earth care and people care. The three ethics collaborate together and are interwoven with one another. Okay, our first question is, in regards to permaculture ethics, what is your stance on food forests being open to the general public? In other words, what is your experience with unregulated food forest areas, and what systems, e.g. volunteers, have you set up for day-to-day functioning? When it comes to food forests, this is one of the best systems that can be designed to provide food with minimal maintenance once established for maximum yield over time, because they're incredibly long term. They function exactly as a forest. Now, over the long term, the knowledge is just about something you inherit from generation to generation because it gets more and more refined. Initially, it's a system that's quite controversial. It looks quite unusual and can look quite untidy as it establishes in kind of the middle age point or the adolescent point of a food forest. So as long as there's some good education, once people understand that you get through that sort of rampant stage, you get through that adolescent untidy stage, and then it starts to look refined. It starts to look like an actual forest. And now it takes less and less maintenance and more sort of tuning to get the production really happening. So food forests can provide a community it can provide a service and opportunities, both for volunteers and paid staff. So you'll always have a lot of volunteers, but you need the paid staff to develop the skill base and make sure it keeps evolving to that long-term plan where it can be totally admired as a stable system. It's just that initial stage. So you need a shift in how we manage public lands for this to happen. It's not going to just happen straight away, but it's already happening in many parts of the world and even in major cities now. So also private lands can be established as kind of a land trust or similar. That's actually covered in chapter 14 of the Permaculture Designer's Manual. So private lands can be examples that then public lands can copy, and private lands can be converted into land trusts where there's kind of a condition that it stays in a trust as long as the food forest keeps being maintained through its long-term stability. With proper design, these systems can build soil, provide ecosystem services and maintain themselves, so that's definitely earth care, while providing resources for the local community. That's people care, with local systems to return food waste via compost, to return surplus manures, to actually return surplus food to the community for people in need, or people who are homeless, or people who just need an education because there's a surplus of information in there. That's return of surplus. In every way, these systems follow the ethics of permaculture. Okay, second question. Hey Jeff, I'm wondering if you could give some practical examples of how you factor in the ethics when going through a design. Is it something that you explicitly design around, or do they happen to be integrated as a result of good design? A couple of real world examples would be great. Thanks. All right. It's definitely something we work around ethics. Ethics is central to permaculture. There's no question about that. All our designs are centered on the ethics. But also good design expresses the ethics. So one of our classic sites I've been working on lately is Dave Rastovich's garden at Broken Head near Byron Bay, Australia, which is near here. Now Dave lives on a community where 8 families, so multiple people, live down his private road. We worked to design a garden that handles the wet climate of our coast here on a very clay soil, and work with Dave to build a garden that will produce enough food for the 8 families of the community. The project was founded to provide food for the local community, so that's definitely people care. Specific design choices are made based on the profile of land to maximize water infiltration while allowing excess water to flow through the system with the heavy soils in a way that stops any erosion. So again, it's earth care. With the community returning its surplus, the third ethic, they're returning surplus, organic matter, prunings, food waste, and any surplus manures anybody's got on a property like horse manure to the garden for worm farms and for composting, and some surplus work when heavy jobs need to be done. In return, Dave's intention is to produce everybody's food for those 8 families, and particularly the children, all get to learn about the experience. There's a big learning experience in this particular site to recover the clay soils into production, bring them alive, and also to handle the constant heavy rains. So it's surplus in information as it builds this sort of framework of application. So ethics keep coming out of one particular site just because the intention was ethical in the first place with the design. If this interests you, I have some exciting news for you. We're launching our 2021 online permaculture design certificate for anybody looking to learn more and dive deeper into permaculture design thinking using the 3 ethics as a foundation. We'll help you move towards food security and water security for you and your community by teaching you efficient and meaningful design. Learn how to maximize production potential on any site around the globe. Learn a variety of soil building techniques that create living soils and support nutrient-dense food production. How to work with patterning to make the most efficient use of any landscape. Permaculture design is all about patterning. Not only landscape patterns, but human activity patterns, livestock management patterns, time patterns, and more. Learn climate-specific techniques to infiltrate and store water in the landscape or pacify large flows in wet climates to minimize erosion. Weekly Q&As with me to clarify any question you have throughout the course. And helpful team of teaching assistants ready to support your learning experience. Learn how to design your world of abundance with us and sign up using the link below.